EMP up here.
Hi and welcome to Freedom Watch Afghanistan. I'm Corporal Todd Hunter. Fueling the fight is critical for mission success here in Afghanistan. Army Staff Sergeant Brandon Aird shows us what the troopers on Forward Operating Base Fenty in eastern Afghanistan are doing to keep the post running on full.
Alpha Company BSB refuelers run Forward Operating Base Fenty's fuel point and make sure the fuel tanks never run dry, on or off base.
We support the FOB with fuel. If we don't have the fuel, the FOB won't have power, no one will have computers, nobody will have electricity, nobody will have heat. Planes won't fly, helicopters won't go up in the air.
Over 5,000 gallons of fuel is used daily to maintain operations on FOB Fenty. That's over 375 tanks of fuel in your Mini Cooper, which isn't including the daily fuel used for vehicles or aircraft. The fuel point receives the bulk of its fuel through Pakistan, with a few trucks originating from Bagram and Kabul. At full capacity, the fuel point can hold 210,000 gallons of diesel fuel.
Well, we have received so far to date 3.9 million gallons worth of JP8. We got about 150,000 gallons on hand, so we've roughly went through about 3.8 million gallons worth of fuel.
A few weeks ago, due to political tension in Pakistan, gas was running low and the FOB was down to less than 60,000 gallons of fuel. When the trucks finally made the journey across the border, the fuelers had to work overtime, testing and offloading fuel to ensure the FOB reserve was full. Without the diligent effort of the fuel point paratroopers, drivers on and off FOB Fenty wouldn't move smoothly or even move at all. Reporting for the 173rd Airborne Brigade Combat Team, Army Staff Sergeant Brandon Aird, FOB Fenty, Afghanistan.
Earlier this week, 5 off-duty Afghan National Police officers detained 5 suspected insurgents while they were planning an improvised explosive device along a roadway in eastern Afghanistan. The officers were out of uniform and traveling in their personal vehicles when they noticed 2 men setting up the IED. When the officers stopped their vehicles to question the suspects, the men claimed they were placing the explosives to harm Americans rather than the ANP. The 3 other men, all suspected of being lookouts, were detained as well. Explosive ordnance disposal experts were called in and successfully disarmed the device, making the roadway safe for commerce and travel. With the help of coalition forces, more IEDs are being found or turned into Afghan security forces than are being detonated on civilians and coalition forces. Much of that has to do with the Afghan people's willingness to help secure their country. Most forward operating bases, or FOBs, are rather small, but as Senior Airman Jason Armstrong shows us, their impact is just the opposite.
Located in the snow-covered mountains of northern Afghanistan, FOB Oregon E may look like a quiet base, but inside these buildings, missions crucial to the Army's Bravo Company are taking place.
We support them with all Class 2 supplies, issue them uniforms as they needed throughout this deployment.
Sergeant Wisda is a part of a 3-soldier team, and together they oversee the supplies for the entire FOB.
Basically, I manage the commander's property book to make sure there's no discrepancies and make sure the unit is supported with all the assets they need to complete the mission. My job's really important. If I wasn't here, the troops wouldn't have what they need.
Together, the supply team supports over 150 soldiers assigned to Bravo Company. Senior Airman Jason Armstrong, Oregon E, Afghanistan.
4 members of the Professional Bull Riders organization made their way to Bagram Airfield over the weekend to speak with the troops and offer thanks for their service. Service members had the chance to meet such names as Tater Porter, Michael Gaffney, Fallon Taylor, and Rachel Melamaki. The 4 riders took time to sign autographs and even hand out free hats and t-shirts to the troops. Gaffney says no one had to pull his arm to get him over here.
I jumped at the chance to come over here and say, thank you personally from myself and from the sport of bull riding the PBR. Let these guys know that we're behind them 110%, and that we just want them to come home safe and as soon as possible.
This was the first time professional bull riders have made the trip to Afghanistan. And that's all for this edition of Freedom Watch Afghanistan. I'm Corporal Todd Hunter. Thanks for watching.